Hi, I'm James from Chaosium. When I sat down with Jeff Richard the other day, we spoke about his creative process for writing the next grand campaign for RuneQuest Glorantha. I'm going to jump across that interview in just a moment, but first, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. It helps us a lot and it lets us make more content like this. Thanks.
Well, on this one, part of this is that Greg and I had been talking about doing the Grand Argrath campaign since, gosh, the early 2000s. Um, and what I initially it was built off the material from the Hero Wars Sartor Rising campaign, and a lot of the early drafts of this it didn't give your characters a lot of opportunities to jump right into the middle of the action. This is a flaw, a lot of flaws in previous writing that you don't notice or realize for, many years after, and then go, oh God, ah. So what instead we're really doing is treating this as a toolbox for the GM, where the GM can say, okay, these are a series of possible background events year by year that are going on in the campaign. But of course, the players can change these things. Or, I don't like that approach. And so in a number of places, we have optional, well, if you want to say that there are multiple Argraths, here's what that can mean. If you want to say that the Feathered Horse Queen is a different person from Incarnate of Serd, here's what that can mean. Here's some advice on what to do when your players, if your players kill one of the main named characters. Here's some toolkits. Here's some approaches. You can, these are heroes. You can say they get better. Or you can go completely the other way and say, yeah, they're dead. And I'm going to start changing the course of how the history in the game works. So a lot of this is creating a toolkit where the GM can be aware that these are the big things that are going on behind the scenes in the setting. And then the GM will make what they want of them. And I'm hoping that is a more useful approach than have this be something that is very much these are events, this is how it's going to happen regardless of what you want to do as a GM. So it's kind of halfway between the Grand Pendragon campaign and a sandbox.
Right, that's really interesting, and it's a good dynamic to play with. Talking about writing processes, and particularly your writing process, let me ask you something. When you pick up a campaign book, a set of scenarios or a story, what's something that really jumps out at you when you see it and you immediately like it, you like it how it's put together, you want to include it in your work? And what's something that some campaign books do that you're maybe not such a fan of, or that you have tried to change in the work that you've done?
Well, one of the things that I really like to see in any campaign scenario or campaign is I like to see a lot of possibilities for unresolved very gray moral decisions that the players have to make in the session. So a classic one is, in the RuneQuest Quick Start, or in the Dragon of Thunder Hills, the player characters have ultimately it's their decision whether they decide that the monster is a monster, or maybe it's a divine being. Do we kill this? Do we worship it? And to me, there's no right answer. There's some benefits and some disadvantages regardless of decision, but it creates a sense for the players that they have some difficult decisions that they're going to make into the game, and there's not the game isn't saying there's a right answer for it. It's one of the reasons I generally don't like dungeon crawls very much, because dungeon crawls are they're dungeon crawl. You go through it, you kill everything, you take their stuff. That's fine enough. But there's a 1,000 video games that can do a better, cooler dungeon crawl, that's about killing things and taking their stuff, than you're going to get from a tabletop role-playing experience. What a tabletop game lets you do is it lets you interact with other players and the GM in an unscripted manner. And so scenarios that let you do that, and to me, the gray moral decision is is one of the telling signs that this is going to this is what I would consider a well-written scenario.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I get a lot of stuff. You get a lot of I see a lot of drafts that have huge amounts of text about background and whatnot. And despite having written a 2-volume encyclopedia, which is basically background, to me, that's a turnoff when I see a manuscript, because what I really want to see is, do we have the elements of a story in here that the players are going to get invested about, and that they're going to go afterwards and they go, God, yeah, when we played that adventure, we sold it, we ratted out the Eye-Tooth clan, those bastards. Well, we allied with them. And so you have everybody's able to have a different experience and similarly get invested in it at the same time.